Hanny Time. A daily look at sports from our resident historian. Your sports break during your lunch break. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studios. Here's Charles Hannegriff.
And a pleasant good afternoon, and welcome to Hanny Time, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Charles Hannegriff along with Mario Jerez and Taylor Sharp. Thank you for making us a little part of your day. The show's going to be all over the place today because there's so much that I want to get to between today's show and today's podcast. I did notice that Mario showed up with a big smile on his face today to go along with his Pelicans gear, so we're definitely going to get to that. This was the first weekend, besides the off week, that I really had a chance to just sit down and watch without a show going on. There's a balance to covering LSU when you're in the middle of football season and you're doing pre and you're doing post. A lot of times you're watching games while you're doing something else. This is an opportunity to really hunker in and watch a lot of stuff without, having to do a show alongside of it. So got to watch two Pelicans games, got to watch Army-Navy, got to watch a lot of college basketball. And without having to do a show and without being burdened with having to decipher whatever it is the Saints were doing this weekend because they were off, this worked out pretty well. Did you get a chance to watch Army-Navy? Look, I'm going to be honest with you. I love the pageantry of Army-Navy. The pregame, the postgame, the presentation, the colors, the visual is so strong. You see the cadets and the midshipmen all in the stadium all together. Hester was there this weekend, so he can provide a more vivid description of the scenery. But the whole thing, the game, the way it's played, the look, it's just old school football. It reminds me of high school football. And if you're like many of us, if you grew up on high school football and that was where you learned the game and that's where you grew to love the game, it's a bit of a throwback, okay? Now, let me be real clear, okay? I don't want to watch this game every week. I don't want to watch. I mean, there were 3 passes completed the whole game, but this was kind of like a build-up to the payoff in a really well-crafted story, right? 20 points in regulation, 17 points in the overtime. Quinn Mortesky kicked the game-winning field goal. Okay, so this is only something he'll remember for the rest of his life. Okay, 2 years from now, he may be stationed at a base literally anywhere in the world. But Saturday, he kicked the game-winning field goal. And then to watch Anton Hall, who had one of the great plays in the game, the 77-yarder, to see the devastation on his face when he fumbled on the 1-yard line in the overtime. I mean, you can see what it means to these guys. It's an unbelievable spectacle. Like I said, I'm not saying I want to watch this type of game with 3 completed passes every week. If Iowa were playing Air Force in the middle of October, I'm going to find something else to watch. But once a year, and especially because this is kind of perfect, right? It's the one standalone game that you're going to have this late in the year. It's like Army-Navy along with the high school championships and the Heisman presentation. It's a sort of a unique weekend all its own. So I don't know if you got a chance to watch Army-Navy. We got official word over the weekend, yesterday actually, that B.J. Ojulari is declaring for the NFL draft. This does not come as a surprise. We had figured this even before the season. It's unknown right now if he's going to play in the bowl game or not. So we got a chance to take a look back now at what Ojulari did over the course of his career. 129 tackles, 25 tackles for loss, 16 and a half sacks, 25 quarterback hurries in his career, and he was first team All-SEC. Raging success for Ojulari as a player here. He became a outstanding pass rusher. He was a leader. Honestly, one of the big turning points in the season, if you look back at a whole bunch of them in a timeline, the sack against Auburn. If he doesn't get that sack against Auburn and they don't turn that into points, if Auburn just punts the football there and LSU remains discombobulated the way they are, maybe they don't beat Auburn. And if they don't beat Auburn, you can kind of play it from there. It's like the whole Back to the Future thing. When they try to go back in time, it's like if we change this event, how many other events change? Well, maybe a lot of them. And for LSU, if I'm going to go ahead and list, half a dozen turning points in the season, that's one of them. That's what leaders do. They make big plays. Now, Ojulari is probably going to be, if I had to guess, probably a back half of round 1 or first half of round 2 guy. Depends on, I'm sure he'll test out well at the combine and for pro day if he runs it pro day. His measurables are pretty good. You'd like him to be a little bit bigger against the run, and as he gets older, I'm sure that part of his game will mature. But make no mistake, you can make a living in the National Football League even if all you can do is rush the passer. I think Ojulari's game I think it'll graduate nicely as he gets older. Like I said, he'll fill out a little bit more and play a little bit tougher against the run. But as a pass rusher, he's already very good, and somebody will take him in that role. And I'm thinking probably somewhere in the latter part of the first round, maybe the early part of the second round. I don't think you drop any further than that. I think he's got a really good chance to be a first-round pick. So good luck to him. Love to see him play in the bowl game. Probably won't. Don't know. I shouldn't say probably won't. I don't know. He didn't put it in there, so I think if he was, he would have put it in there, but maybe not. Maybe he'll decide. So we'll see. We got the sad news this weekend that Paul Silas has passed away at the age of 79. Former New Orleans Hornets coach when they were the Hornets. You want to talk about a basketball lifer? Okay, I never got a chance to meet him, but I did cover some what were then Hornets games, stuff like that. So I never got a chance. I was in some press conferences and stuff like that, so I got a chance to be there, but I never really met him or interacted with him. But whatever I did see was an extremely positive person for somebody who had lots of reasons not to be positive. Okay. This guy was a basketball lifer. Okay. We learned a little bit about him actually when we went to Omaha because he played at Creighton. This guy once averaged 21 rebounds a game in a season. That's pretty good. Okay. And we did have a chance to meet Greg McDermott on one of our trips up there. He had some really nice things, the current head coach at Creighton. And they take basketball very seriously at Creighton. So if you're an All-American there, which he was, and you lead the nation in rebounding there, which he did, you are a legend there, which he was. But it didn't just end there. This guy played 16 seasons in the NBA, won 3 titles. He won titles with the Celtics. He was part of the only title team in Seattle for the old Supersonics. Now, Seattle's a pretty good-sized town, right? Pretty good sports town. The Seahawks have won 1 Super Bowl. The Sonics have won 1 championship before they moved to Oklahoma City. The Mariners have never made the World Series, and the Kraken just started. So the 79s, I've been one trip in my life to Seattle, okay? And you can still see remnants of what the Sonics meant to that market. So trust me when I tell you, they remember that team in Seattle. He's a part of some really iconic teams. 2 of those Celtics, it was sort of the in-between. It was after the Russell Celtics, but before the Bird Celtics. They still won. Dave Cowens, the end of Havlicek's career. He was on those teams. And then he coached LeBron James in his rookie season. I mean, you think this guy was a basketball lifer? You think he had some stories to tell? The reason I said that he was positive and didn't have to be is he was not exactly dealt the best hands when he was a head coach. His first job as a head coach was coaching the San Diego Clippers, which later became the Los Angeles Clippers, of course, and were owned when he was a coach there by a new owner named Donald Sterling. We all know what happened to Sterling later in life. We all agree that he was a awful owner, okay? I mean, the other stuff that eventually got him out of the league makes him, a less than desirable person to be around a bit. But the basketball owner part of Donald Sterling was every bit as bad as the human being that Donald Sterling was. And he was the first. You guys know this one? He was the first NBA owner that was fined for tanking. Okay, we think tanking is a recent thing? No. Sterling wanted to do this all the way back 43 years ago. And the reason he wanted to tank is, number one, the Clippers were terrible. The Clippers were terrible because he wouldn't spend any money. And there was a basketball player at the University of Virginia named Ralph Sampson. And he came out and said, you know what we ought to do? He was brazen enough to say this out loud, okay, in front of his coach. We ought to lose all our games this year so we can go get Ralph Sampson. And Larry O'Brien fined him $100,000. Was a commissioner of the league at the time, said, man, you can't say that. We're trying to sell tickets because they think you're supposed to win. And Silas had to endure that, okay? Then when he got to Charlotte to be the coach there, he was dealing with owners that were nearly bankrupt, that were actively trying to move the team to get essentially a winning lottery ticket. And that followed him all the way to New Orleans. And that first season in New Orleans, they had a winning record. They were 47-35. They made the playoffs. And then they fired him, because the owner was almost bankrupt. Anyway, that guy remained incredibly positive through all of that. The one season in New Orleans was one of the best. I think it was the second best record that he had in his whole career. So, and of course, his son is now coach of the Houston Rockets. But I'll remember Paul Silas for a lot of different things. He passed away this weekend at the age of 79. And one other thing, and then we'll get to all of the basketball and stuff that happened this weekend. But our prayers go out to Mike Leach and his family. If you haven't seen this story from last night and into this morning, Leach, according to the Clarion Ledger, had a massive heart attack. Was transported by helicopter from Starkville to Jackson. And if you see the outpouring of support from around people that usually don't tweet, coaches and organizations, and all with the massive outpouring of support from Mike Leach, and you understand just how serious the situation is with the coach. I think we've talked about Mike Leach a lot. College football's better because of Mike Leach. College football is certainly more interesting because of Mike Leach. And so it's a very, very serious situation there, and our prayers go out to Leach and his family. We will take a break. The LSU basketball with a big win over the weekend, one of the biggest comebacks that you will see for the Tigers and Mario's Pelicans. We claim them? Look, we've been talking a lot of Pels here, and with good reason. They went into the weekend in first place in the Western Conference. They came out of the weekend in first place in the Western Conference by more games than they were at the beginning, at least over Phoenix. This is Hanny Time, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is Hanny Time.
All right, friends, out at Big Mike's, enjoying the holiday season with live music every Thursday, Friday, and Saturday night. Thursday night this week, Chris Allen. On Saturday, Ernest Scott. And we'll give an update on our Friday night band here a little bit later on in the week. Of course, at Big Mike's, if you want to go in for gift cards, make a wonderful stocking stuffer for somebody in your life, and you're going to get a little bit extra for yourself too. So if you purchase $30 in gift cards, you'll get $5 off your next visit. If you purchase $50, you'll get $10, and if you purchase $100, you will get $20 off of your next visit at Big Mike's. Holiday parties, is still room for your holiday parties. You can book those. Catering available for off-site. And photos with Santa at Big Mike's. It's right on December the 13th. That's tomorrow. Santa and the Grinch will be there, so you can take pictures with Santa and the Grinch tomorrow night from 6 till 8 p.m. And if you go over with the kids will eat for half off tomorrow night. So at Big Mike's. Happy hour drink prices for the NFL on Sunday. Big Mike's on Aspen and Denham Springs. We're kind of a big deal.
In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
Bayou Ford has the new inventory to get you in a new Ford truck or SUV today, or customize your next vehicle just the way you want it. All new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million mile powertrain warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
Time doesn't stop, and the world keeps spinning. Community, culture, and communications, the powerful circle that connects us together. We're creating the next evolution A network built for every possibility. Moving faster than ever before. Streaming us forward into the future. And the revolution is closer than you think. RTC, ETEL, and Vision are now Rev. New name, same company.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Louisiana. It's a place defined by culture, by pride, by passion, by people who do more than love this place. They celebrate it, elevate it, champion it. They are the individuals who embody what makes Louisiana great. The companies that make Louisiana a better place to work and live. The nonprofits leading transformational change in our communities. Champions of Louisiana are all around us, and LWCC is proud to celebrate them because we've always been Louisiana loyal, supporting the workers, the innovators, the change agents of this great place we call home. Who are the champions around you? Together, we can share their stories. Together, we can help our home state thrive. Together, we are Louisiana loyal. Always.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Join me, Jimmy, out at Charles Handegriff. Monday, 6 to 8 p.m., we're at Spoken Hub Restaurant on Government Street in Mid-City. We recap the weekend pro and college football. Game Time presented by Bet Rivers on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is Hanny Time with Charles Hanegriff on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
At the Holiday Hoops Giving in Atlanta, LSU and Wake Forest, Tigers found themselves in a 20-point hole in the first half. Now, what do we know about this LSU team so far? Not a lot. Not a lot. We know they've got two bona fide scorers in KJ Williams and Adam Miller. We know that this group is still very much learning each other, and the coaches learning them. We know that they've played a very soft schedule. The one Power 5 team that they've played, they've lost to, albeit in controversial fashion. So we're still very much learning this team, and we will be for a little bit. I remind you that they started with nothing. Not almost nothing. They started with nothing. They got there. It was an empty gym. Had to start from scratch. Rome wasn't built in a day. This comeback, though, was very impressive. Listen, I'm not gonna try to overblow this and say, hey, look at this. This is a Sweet 16 team or anything like that. What I'm going to tell you is that you look for some of the building blocks when you're at this stage of a program. You look for, does the team play hard? Does the team respond to the coach? Does the team get better? Does the team make adjustments? Do some guys step up into their roles? And the answer to most of that, after they found themselves down 20 on Saturday, was yes. Now, we can get into, and I'm sure we will once they get into conference play, why they found themselves down 20 in the first place. But I'd prefer, at least for the moment, to focus on what they did well. And what they did well was late in the first half, get some players that really made a difference. And one of them was Derek Fountain, and the other one was Cam Hayes. I'll get to KJ Williams in a moment. Obviously, I'm burying the lead here a little bit. The guy had he's the SEC Player of the Week. in a week where there was a lot of people to choose from. But when they found themselves down 20 in the latter stages of the first half, and put together that run that set up the run that they would get to in the second half, I was really, really encouraged. A lot of times you'll see that the first half, you get in a big deficit like that, the first half will just kind of peter out, and you'll go into the break way down. You'll make your run in the opening parts of the second half, but ultimately you'll run out of gas. That run that cut the lead from 20-8 at the end of the first half, and Hayes and Fountain had a lot to do with that, is a big, big difference in the ballgame. But the difference in the ballgame, of course, was K.J. Williams. And watching Williams he finished with 35 points, and he was 7-9 from three-point range and 10 rebounds. So he's a player of the game. He's a player of the week. Without him, LSU gets beat by double digits on Saturday. But watching him look like an NBA player on Saturday. I'm not suggesting that he can shoot that well from three-point range. Nobody can. Nobody shoots 7 out of 9. You're not going to shoot that percentage every day. But to go out and do that when they needed it, he was exceptionally strong. And on the last play of the game, the defense draws to him, and so Hill's able to make the driving layup. Look, they had a situation where they had tried to win the game against Kansas State. They thought they had. This time, they draw something up that works for a layup. It's the highest percentage shot that you can get. How many times do you see in the last possession of the game, team goes out there and they dribble, and somebody jacks up a 21-footer that's contested, you miss it, and you lose or you go to overtime. This was pretty well designed by Matt McMahon and his group. And when you come from down 20, wasn't a true road game, but it wasn't a home game either. It says an awful lot about your team early on, and here's McMahon on the comeback win against Wake.
That was an awesome win. I mean, you can sit here, I guess, supposed to give you some sort of coach speak, but wow, that was awesome. So proud of our guys. We kept talking in the huddle there. You're down 20. Looked like we might not even have a pulse today, and just tried to stay positive. And, man, we got to find a way to chip away at this deal. There are no 20-point shots out there. We needed to get locked in and play better defense. And then offensively, I thought we had some opportunities at the rim in the first half that we didn't finish. We shot it well from 3, but atrocious from 2. And then, obviously, the performance of K.J. Williams. But there were other guys who were fantastic today with their effort and their energy, and those are things that are a lot more important to me than X's and O's.
I was excited to see McMahon excited, okay? I like him. I think he's one of these dyed-in-the-wool basketball 24/7 guys, and that's great. That's what you want in a coach. You want him dialed in. I think he does things, in a manner that's been successful, so I'm certainly not going to I'm not in any way going to be critical of how he prepares his basketball team, because you can tell they are well coached. They are undermanned, but they are well coached. But I was happy to see some emotion from him, because don't take this the wrong way, Coach, but at times it sounds like you're explaining tax code to us, okay? I mean, just a little bit of, hey, we won the game. Nice. So I was happy to see that. He also talked about K.J. Williams.
He was fantastic, and we wanted to try and stretch and space the floor to attack their ball screen coverage and use KJ out on the perimeter as a weapon, and he stepped up and delivered. I mean, you're talking about a guy who's almost scored 2,000 points in college now, so we expect big things from him, and he was first class today.
I'm glad to see that McMahon also listens to the show. He's given us early submissions for first class in the middle of the week. Williams played 37 minutes, okay? That's heavy usage for the big guy, and he was every bit as effective at the end of the game as he was at the beginning. So all in on that. Finally, McMahon talked about still learning this team.
Yeah, we're still learning our team. Everyone's new, so I told you in the beginning, Chris, I think rotations and all that will evolve as we go. And today, Cam Hayes, Derek, just incredible in their effort. And then I thought Justice Williams was just so solid for us. And we had more playmakers on the floor, and they got the ball where it needed to go as well.
I like this because the still learning the team thing is going to get old pretty quick. Fans don't, they're like, hey, look, go learn the team on your own time. I want to see what I want to see. I know this because I was foolishly on Twitter on Saturday. Anyway, there's only been 2 games that they've played against Power 5 competition. They've been in both of those games. They lose one at the Horn, they win one at the Horn. Okay, I can deal with that. And there's going to be 3 more games that very few people are going to pay a lot of attention to. I'm sorry, but North Carolina Central is just not going to move the meter. I saw Adam Miller's tweet, and it was like, hey, man, come out and support the basketball team. Adam, look, man, I love you for coming back. Fantastic player, had a really, really rough day shooting the basketball on Saturday. But in December in Baton Rouge, North Carolina Central is just not going to get people moving out of their chairs on Tuesday night. I mean, you'll have a regular crowd tomorrow night. Same thing against Winthrop, same thing against East Tennessee State. Now, Southeastern Conference gets here. It's going to ramp up a little bit, and the early schedule is, yikes. Saw a little bit of that over the weekend. But a good win for McMahon and his group, and a fantastic performance by KJ Williams. But it gets harder once SEC play starts. More on that in a minute. We're brought to you by Selassie, located in the Antique District in Denham Springs. Guys, have you started to stress about the Christmas presents for your wife, your girlfriend, significant other? You probably don't know. You're like most of us. What do I do? Okay. Go in and let the professionals at Selassie help you out. They can design, they can build, they can repair. If you got something, let me tell you what works really good. You get like an heirloom, out of the family, and you say, hey, listen, we had it refurbished, repaired, and give you, makes a wonderful gift. They are a certified diamond graduate from GIA, family owned and operated. Rather have a watch, Timex all the way up to Rolex. And I know everybody's busy here during the Christmas season. You got parties, you got stuff at work, you got shopping to do. They're open 7 days a week all the way until Christmas. Ring sizing, jewelry appraisals, watch band adjustments, they do it all. Conveniently located in the Antique District in Denham Springs. Stuart and Renee do a great job. Taylor, with a personal endorsement, came in here today, said, hey, listen, I did my shopping at Selassie. Taylor, this was invaluable, right? Because you didn't know what you were doing either.
No, I did not. About a year ago, I bought my fiance's engagement ring from there, and Renee was super helpful. I was in and out, got the ring sized and done in a week.
There you go. Personal, and she liked it, right?
Oh yeah, loved it. She said it was perfect.
Okay, see, perfect. That's what they do at Selassie in Denham Springs. The rest of the college basketball weekend, I got a chance to really hunker in and watch a lot of these teams for the first time. So let me give you a kind of a thumbnail of what I saw as we, kind of make the transition into college basketball. Watched all of Alabama and Houston. Alabama beat Houston 71-65. Houston, the number 1 team in the country, or they were, until Alabama beat them. So Alabama was trailing by 15 in the second half and won this game, and their leading scorer, Brandon Miller, did not make a basket. This is impressive. You come from 15 down on the road against Houston, who gives up 0 easy baskets, okay? You will come out of a game with Kelvin Sampson's team bruised and sore. That's how they play, and they're really, really good at it. Alabama found themselves in a 15-point hole, and it's not that just one guy got hot. Their leading scorer, he got to the free throw line. He had 8 points in the game, but he was 0 for 8 from the floor and 0 for 5 from 3. So it's not like, hey, we got to give it to our best guy and we'll get back in this thing. No, they did that as a team. Alabama, really strong showing. Watched a good bit of Arkansas and Oklahoma. That one finished up 88-78. Not a lot of defense in this one, but they got up and down the court. Arkansas shot 59% from the floor. Oklahoma shot 57% from the floor. And Arkansas plays at this pace. They've got 3 potential first-round picks. 2 of them are going to be, one of them is going to be in the lottery. The other one's going to be probably somewhere in the teens, maybe gets into the lottery, maybe slips right out of it. And the third prospect is probably a 20s pick, early second round at the worst. So they got some dudes over there. They get up and down the floor, and they don't turn the ball over. That was what was impressive to me. They only turned the ball over 9 times. And they would have hit 100 if they would have even been remotely competent from 3. They couldn't hit a 3 to save their life most of this game. They shot 33% from distance, and they still scored 88 points. By the way, LSU's going to see them very, very shortly. I think that game is 2 weeks from tonight. Is that am I right about that? The 28th? 16 days from tonight. LSU's got Arkansas at the PMAC 3 days after Christmas. buckle up because the Hogs are going to run. Watch what I think may be at least the best basketball team that I have seen so far is Arizona. They beat Indiana 89-75. This was at one of those showcase games out in Vegas. Arizona's a throwback. They've got 2 7-footers, both foreign players. Now, I worked on this, so see if I'm going to get this right. Omar Bello is from Mali. He's 7 feet tall and very, 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 very in tune to the game for somebody who picked it up later in life. He's not a basketball lifer. He's got some. They have big men that pass. The other one, this one's harder. Asvolas Tabilis. My best shot. He's from Lithuania. Anyway, what's impressive about these big guys is not only that they score and they pounded Indiana every time. Indiana's very good. Every time Indiana would make a run at them, they pound the ball back into these bigs. But the ball movement from Arizona, really, really impressive. They look Gonzaga-like. Go figure, right? They moved the ball. What's a stat that we like? Assists on made baskets. 31 made baskets, 21 assists, and a lot of those came from out of the post. The 2 bigs only had 4 assists between them out of the 21, but you'd be amazed if you watch the game, the number of times that the bigs enter into the post, kick it back out, extra pass, open 3, or open even in the mid-range game. Arizona, a 14-point win over Indiana. That is the most points that anybody has scored on Indiana by 10, and it's the most points per possession that they've allowed since Mike Woodson became the coach. And Woodson, pretty good defensive coach. Arizona, very impressive. You want to talk about not impressive? I was watching a little bit of Florida State and Louisville. You can imagine why. Louisville's become a little bit of an ATM. Louisville was 0-8 going into the game straight up. They were 0-8 against the spread. After the game, they were 0-9 straight up and 0-9 against the spread. Now, they were a 9.5-point underdog to Florida State. Say, okay, well, yeah, if you're 0-8, you're Louisville, you're 0-8 against the spread, of course you're going to be a 9.5-point underdog at Florida State. How much do you know about Florida State? I knew nothing watching on Saturday. They were 1-9 coming into the game, 3-7 against the number. You're watching the schedule that LSU's playing right now, out of necessity, okay? You see the schedule that even the teams that in Power 5 leagues, Power 6, of course we count the Big East when we get to basketball. The schedule that they play makes it almost impossible for a team of a program of this caliber to be this bad. To go 0-9, you had to lose to Bellarmine, Wright State, Appalachian State, not the football team. I'm talking about Louisville. Your Florida State to go 1-9, you had to lose to Stetson, UCF, Troy, Siena. So we got 2 bad basketball teams, but Louisville's been an ATM. So we are at the point now where, with the possible exception of when they play FAMU, which I think is coming up this weekend, Louisville's an automatic fade. Been an automatic fade for about 3 games now. They're an automatic fade. Who they playing? Don't care. Florida State, who was 1-9, beat Louisville by 22 points. How do you get that bad? At Louisville, this storied program, awful. The worst program I've ever seen Louisville have. And maybe something back, in the 40s or something. I don't know, but that's worse. And the strangest ending of the weekend, at least the strangest ending that I saw, was Xavier in Cincinnati. Score is tied with 1.2 seconds to go, and Xavier gets fouled. Go to the free throw line. Guy, he makes the first one, and now with 1.2 seconds to go, Xavier decides that they're going to miss the second one because Cincinnati doesn't have a timeout. So to take the ball off the rim and go 90 feet in 1.2 seconds is almost impossible. You'd rather do this than have the free throw made and have them be able to inbound the ball. Remember, they don't have any timeouts left. This is important. You'd rather have them have to take the ball off the rim and go the length of the floor in 1.2 seconds to make this miracle 3 that you got to take off the rim, rather than have them inbound the ball where they can, have a long inbounds play to at least get to the other side of the floor. Maybe go Christian Laettner, okay? So Xavier misses the second free throw. on purpose. Cincinnati calls timeout on purpose. They know they don't have another. They know they don't have another timeout. Okay, they were brazen enough to huddle without. They know they don't have a timeout. Timeout. Okay, so they go huddle. So the officials are like, "This is a technical," so they tee him up. Now, what I don't understand is why they were getting the ball back after the tee. Maybe somebody can educate me on the rule, because I thought I saw the Chris Webber play. Everybody saw the Chris Webber play. If you call a timeout that you don't have, it's 2 shots in the ball. Apparently not anymore, because they got 2 shots and then Cincinnati got the ball back. So they try to inbound. He makes both free throws. It's 80-77, and he tries to inbound the ball. It gets deflected, and the game is over. Xavier 80, Cincinnati 77. The difference between a 1-point win and a 3-point win, not all that significant unless you had Cincinnati plus 2.5. Or Cincinnati plus 3, or Xavier minus 2.5, or Xavier minus 3. I mean, if you got Cincinnati plus 2.5 and they missed a second, even when they're shooting the free throw, you're like, there's no way I can lose. No, they took a tech on purpose. I think Van Pelt will have something to say about that tonight. That's the weekend in college basketball. I didn't get a chance to see Auburn and Memphis. I ran out of time. Memphis won that game by, I think it was 9, and Auburn was a small favorite. Make it in my notes to watch Auburn at some point in the next week. We'll take a break. Pals, got to get to them, man. They're in first place in the Western Conference. That's next. Hanny Time, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is Hanny Time.
Acura and Infinity of Baton Rouge with 3.9% APR for 60 months on most models. And right now, $1,000 loyalty cash on the MDX and the TLX. 2-year, 24,000-mile complimentary scheduled maintenance on all 2023 models as we make the turn here at the end of the year. Large certified pre-owned selections. 7 years or 100,000-mile powertrain coverage, roadside assistance. Your first scheduled maintenance is free. And on the certified pre-owned lot, you're always going to get that complimentary vehicle that when you got to go in for service, you're not going to have to worry about arranging for transportation or sitting there to wait for it. Transparency in prices and a family atmosphere at Acura and Infinity of Baton Rouge.
Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is a house call. This is a follow-up appointment. This is a diabetes checkup. This isn't just more convenient care, it's more advanced care. This is innovating healthcare at Louisiana's #1 hospital, Ochsner.
Oh, hey, what's up? It's Big D and Bubba, 100.7 The Tiger Morning Show. We'd love for you to join us every weekday, 4 a.m. till 9 a.m.
Yeah, everything you want in a show. Country music. We got laughs. We got celebrity in-studio guests. We just need you.
Join us every weekday morning, 4 a.m. to 9 a.m., right where it all started.
That's right. Louisiana's country station, 100.7 The Tiger.
Service Mastery Elite create clean, disinfected work environments. As a local business, we take pride in serving the New Orleans and Baton Rouge areas. Our cleaning protocols follow CDC and OSHA standards for healthcare settings, offices, senior living, restaurants, and industrial plants. Contact Service Mastery Elite to get your operation ready for reopening with germ disinfection cleaning. Service Mastery Elite, the trusted choice in professional cleaning since 1996.
It's no secret. The best oysters in Baton Rouge are at Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar. Enjoy mouth-watering South Louisiana flavor and oysters from all over the country. And don't forget our nightly drink specials. Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar, located in downtown Baton Rouge.
Eli's always been into grilling. It took us a while to see it, but the signs were there.
What are you doing, Eli?
I knew grilling was my thing. I have been talking about it throughout my career.
Happy with the results?
I am. Got the new grill from barbecueguys.com. It performed great.
My advice, As I always told my boys,
do more of what you're born to do.
Barbecue guys, for those who were born to grill.
You want cheese on your burger, Pops?
I'll take a little cheese.
Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343-1111. Your law firm for a life.
On Tuesday's OTB, preview Pels Jazz, because the number one team in the West, keep it going. Plus, start to look forward to Citrus Bowl, as well as Saints Falcons, Part 2. Brand new OTB mailbag, and Nick Underhill stops by off the bench, 7 to 10 a.m., 104.5 ESPN.
This is Hanny Time with Charles Hannegriff on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Pelicans took 2 from the Suns over the weekend, 128-117 on Friday, 129-124 in overtime on Sunday. No Brandon Ingram for either game, no Herb Jones for either team. Plenty of Zion Williamson, though. Big guy shot 58% from the floor, had 35 on Friday night. They decided, hey, we're going to put a little size on him. We're going to put DeAndre Ayton, all 7 foot, 275 pounds on him on Sunday. He's got 35 more. And he fouled Ayton out. Chris Paul also fouled out. C.J. McCollum with a huge weekend. He had 18 points on Friday night and came back with 29 on Sunday. Shot the ball the best he has in a while on Sunday, 13-24. Here's some of my takeaways from the weekend before we get to Zion's dunk at the end. First of all, Dyson Daniels is turning into a defensive stopper. I mean, he's Herb Jones light. They put him on Devin Booker on Friday night, and Booker, who's one of the best shooters in the league, was 5 out of 17, and you could tell that Daniels' length and his athleticism was really taking a toll on Booker, who's one of the best. The other one was Jose Alvarado, who got 20 points on Friday night and was all up in Chris Paul's business. Those two are not going to spend any time together barbecuing in the offseason. I don't think you would expect a Christmas card. And at the end of the game, and I'm going to get to this in a second, but the reason that the Pelicans are still playing is because the Suns are still playing, despite what they said at the end. Willie Green on the 2 wins against the Suns.
I thought the last 2 games was high level. That team over there, that's a good team. I know all of those guys. I know what they're about. They play hard. I mean, well coached, disciplined. And for us to take them on our home floor and win these 2 games is huge for our program.
It had a playoff atmosphere, not necessarily because the Suns have been in this position for the last couple of years. So this is not new, and December games are not usually going to be at the top of their list. But these 2 teams don't like each other at all. And a lot of that started with Chris Paul and Jose Alvarado. And Chris Paul, listen, the Pelicans media put together, a lot of the Chris Paul clips over the weekend. This is not a surprise. Chris Paul plays the game a lot like John Stockton used to play it, okay? He's aggravating, okay? And, some people call Stockton a dirty player or Paul a dirty player. I wouldn't go that far necessarily all the time, but they are aggravating. A knee here, an elbow here, a shoulder shimmy here, a flop there. They're aggravating, okay? They're great players. They take every edge they could get. Paul plays a lot like Stockton used to, and it gets under some people's skin. And, you do that to a guy like Alvarado, who's not going to take that for anything. You're going to get popped back. So at the end of the game on Friday night, which was, in hand, there's a little unwritten rule in the NBA that when it's over, and you don't add another dunk, you don't add another layup, you don't add another shot. Okay, so we're done playing now. That's it. Well, Paul kept playing. He was playing down 9 with, 12 seconds or so to go. So the Pelicans kept playing. Zion did a 360 dunk, and the Suns were not at all happy about that. Williamson had a little bit to say about that after the game.
That was a little out of character for me, but you got to understand. I mean, you can understand it or not. They sent my teammates home last year. I missed all last year. I got carried away a little bit. I admit that. But, I was in that locker room. My brothers were down because, the Suns sent us home last year. That's a tough moment to be a part of. So, in that moment, I got carried away. I admit that. That was out of character for me. So, if they was to do the same thing, I wouldn't have no problem with it.
That's a very, very nice way of saying I did it because it was Phoenix. If it would have been Portland, I wouldn't have dunked the ball. If it would have been Indiana, I'd have dribbled out the clock. If it would have been Detroit, no problem. It was Phoenix. I don't like y'all. Y'all don't like us. Goes back to the playoff series last year or whatever. Maybe it goes back further than that for some of these guys. We don't like you. You don't like us, and we're going to see each other again. Not just next week, but there's a pretty good chance that you're going to see each other in the playoffs. It is not going to be a series of finesse, I promise you, when that day comes. So what is impressive about New Orleans to me right now is the defensive waves that they can put on you. And I was looking at this. Herb Jones was out this weekend, but he'll be back soon enough. I was reminded of how the Pistons, the original bad boy Pistons, not because this team is dirty, and that team, look, the NBA was way different when the Pistons were playing. That's 30 years ago, all right? They were physical to a point where, yeah, it was almost to a fault. But again, the game was played that way. I'm talking about the defensive intensity, all right? Herb Jones will be in the starting lineup when he gets back, but the Pelicans will come at you in waves off the bench the way the Pistons used to. The Pistons had one of the best lockdown defenders in their starting lineup back at that time, Joe Dumars, Louisiana guy. And now Dumars isn't as big as Jones, but back at that time, you didn't have 6'9" guys shooting a whole bunch of threes. So Dumars at about 6'4" or so was a premier perimeter defender and remained that way for his entire career. But they would come off the bench at you with length and size. They would come at the bench off of you with Dennis Rodman and John Sally and James Edwards and all of these, Vinnie Johnson too, but Vinnie Johnson came in to shoot the ball. They would come at you with these defensive stoppers, and they'd take Rodman and they just put him on whoever your best offensive player was on the wing and make it a nightmare for him. And Sally would protect the rim, and Edwards would just beat on people. Edwards was a big physical guy. Now, this is not an exact comparison, but the Pelicans come at you with a different kind of defensive wave because the game is played differently now. They're going to come at you with Dyson Daniels, who you can put – watched him play Booker the other night. It's like, man, you go put this guy on whoever on the wing scares you the most. No, I'm sorry. Only if Herb Jones is out of the game. If Herb Jones is in the game, put Herb Jones on that guy. If he's out of the game, put fresh legs on him and Dyson Daniels. And then Larry Nance, who does a little bit of everything and gives you a little bit of a defensive presence. Would I like him to be, do I wish they had another rim protector? Yes. They got one on the bench, and he can't play right now with Jackson Hayes, so that's unfortunate. So I'd like, there'd be one more rim protector, but Larry Nance does everything. And then Jose Alvarado. I don't have a Pistons comp for him. They didn't have a defensive guard that came off the bench and aggravated people like Alvarado does. But they come at you in waves. And this is before, if Trey Murphy is going to come off the bench when the Pelicans are back at full strength, add another guy. Now, as Nance pointed out in a pretty funny interview, ain't talking about your defense. Just talk about your offense. I'll talk about your offense, Trey. I'm not going to talk about your defense. Third quarters, New Orleans outscored Phoenix by 10 on Friday and by 6 on Sunday. They were the most important, in my opinion, stretches of the game, at least until they got to the overtime on Sunday. Very impressive weekends for the Pelicans. They got 2 with the Jazz and then 1 more with the Suns, and then they ain't going to see Phoenix again until April or May or June. Take a break, come back and wrap things up here. Hanny Time, 104.5, ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is Hanny Time.
You having problems with staffing? Let Tiger Labor and Staffing save you some time. Listen, all of those interviews that are either unqualified or don't show up at all, they'll take care of all of this work for you. The interviews, the background checks, your screening, your training, your payroll expenses are cut. Tiger Labor and Staffing will help you control your labor expenses and increase your flexibility, especially during the peak seasons. If you're in the holiday season, you need some seasonal employees. It's a perfect answer for that. You lower your employment risk with a temp to hire option of only 60 days. That's the lowest in the industry. Tiger Labor and Staffing, welcoming skilled and unskilled labor. If you're looking for a job, they'll match you with one that fits. Quick turnarounds on pay. Tiger Labor and Staffing, success begins with the eye of the tiger. Go to tigerlabor.com.
In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
We get it done with strength, commitment, dedication, grit.
We get it done with passion for our fans
and love for our community.
We are the Tigers.
Get it done.
Let the values of the purple and gold be in your starting lineup this season. And as always, get it done.
Winter can be magical. The Mercedes-Benz Winter Event is here, and there's no better time to check out our new Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge inventory. We have the vehicles that can make your holiday extraordinary. See all the latest technological features on the newest models during our Mercedes-Benz Winter Event. Shop our best of the best award-winning dealership. Visit mbobr.com.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Time doesn't stop, and the world keeps spinning. Community, culture, and communications, the powerful circle that connects us together. We're creating the next evolution, a network built for every possibility, moving faster than ever before, streaming us forward into the future. And the revolution is closer than you think. RTC, ETEL, and Vision are now Rev. New name, same company.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
This is a house call. This is a follow-up appointment. This is a diabetes checkup. This isn't just more convenient care, it's more advanced care. This is innovating healthcare at Louisiana's #1.
Moscona inviting you to join us for Monday's AFR, presented by Relief Windows. Tigers on the practice field for the first time, getting ready for Purdue, and the Saints are back at it as they turn the page to the Falcons. Join us Monday, 3 to 6, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is Hanny Time with Charles Hannegriff on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Did you catch Brock Purdy yesterday? They beat the stew out of the Buccaneers yesterday. Or is anybody, I mean, I don't know if Brock Purdy can keep this up. One thing I know about guys that come out of Iowa State is generally, I don't want to stereotype everybody, generally they're pretty tough. I mean, if you go play football or basketball, every Iowa State team that I've seen, for the most part, I mean, there's been some exceptions, but they play tough, okay? Not the most talented group, certainly not flashy. You think of Ames, Iowa, you don't think of something real frilly and soft, right? I mean, you go play football in Ames, Iowa for 4 years, you're probably pretty hardened. You ever been to Ames? Never been to Ames. I shouldn't say things I don't know about Ames, but this is what I know about Ames, okay? Ames is a city, using that term loosely, of 66,000, of which 33,000 are Iowa State students and another 16,000 are staff. It is directly in the center of Iowa. The average low temperature is below freezing almost half the year. Okay, so you don't go to Iowa State if you're interested in Hollywood. Okay, you go to Iowa State, man. Probably it's 200 miles from anywhere, and don't tell me Des Moines, because Des Moines is also 200 miles from anywhere. So I was thinking, this is kind of like if you put an SEC school right in the middle of Alexandria. right? Except that's not really true because Alexandria is 47,000 people without a school this size. This is more like if you had put an SEC school into Pineville, okay? And I'm not ragging on Pineville because Pineville is twice as big as the place where I grew up, okay? So all I'm telling you is it's a little small town with a university. It's freezing cold half the year. You go over there, you grow a pretty thick skin. So yesterday when Brock Purdy went out there, it's like, man, this guy, he don't think this is a show. He thinks it's a fight. They took it to Tom Brady. I gotta tell you, man, San Francisco against Philadelphia, pay to watch that. I would have said Dallas before that thing yesterday. Now it got me concerned a little bit. But Brock Purdy from Iowa State leading the best team in football. The best team in football has got to be Philadelphia, okay? But San Francisco can see him from here. Dwayne Colucci with us tomorrow. Stay tuned for Hunt Palmer. This has been Hanny Time, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is Hanny Time.
Holiday parties, holiday family gatherings, make them with Supreme Rice. Supreme Rice down in Crowley, Louisiana since the 1930s has been delighting their customers, and you're going to support Louisiana farmers at the same time. Listen, we have large gatherings in Louisiana for the holidays, so you're going to stretch your food dollar when you make those big meals. So whether it's a gumbo, whether it's an etouffee, rice dressing during the holidays, make it with Supreme Rice. Easy to get. All your AG food stores, all of your Walmarts, all of your Rouses, all of your Winn-Dixies will have Supreme Rice in in all of your different styles. You're going to have your brown, long grain, medium grain, and your jasmine. Pick them up the next time you are shopping for rice because not all rice is created equal. Make it with Louisiana Rice. Supreme Rice. For more information and some great holiday ideas for some unique recipes, go to supremerice.com.